Well, today I'm with my friend Casey. He's the founder and CEO of Guepard, and their mission is and always will be to change the way people store and access data. They're automating the entire data infrastructure so that humans and agents can collaborate at full speed. So, Casey, it's great to have you today.
Thank you for having me, Walter.
Well, first I want to get into the name of the company. So I pronounced it Guepard, and can you describe the name of the company a little bit and what that means?
So the short story for that is we are actually French, and we used to start or like we started the company in France, and Guépard is the way we actually pronounce it, is actually cheetah in French. And since the company's mission is all about speed, we were inspired by the fastest animal on Earth. And from there things took off quickly, and we found ourselves in the US.
Okay, so it's Guepard for me, right?
Yes, it's Guépard indeed.
Okay, well, let's get into the problem that you guys are solving.
Mhm. So, like when we talk about data infrastructure, a small story that I like to tell is like we created the first database in 1962, right? And it's been 60 years and 60 amazing years. We've seen a lot of technologies evolve, but one thing that stayed or remained the same is how companies utilize these data infrastructures, right? So for every product or SaaS or like software, you're going to find what we call a production database. That's where all the living data lives. And then internally, in terms of needs for the teams, we create copies of these environments, right? So we create a dev database, a test, a staging, a QA, etc. And one thing we noticed is how much time and resources are spent just like copying the data, maintaining and updating all of these lower environments. And that's where we started with GitHub. We wanted to give tech teams the possibility to ship faster with better quality without wasting all of this time just copying data. And we created this engine that pretty much plugs into that infrastructure and helps instantly copy or like branch these databases pretty much.
Cool. Well, talking about branches, you call it the Git for serverless data. Is that correct?
Yes, our whole inspiration came from GitHub. GitHub is an amazing platform that today revolutionized the way we do IT and like how we collaborate on code. But there have there have been a lot of attempts to make the same possibilities on the data infrastructure. A lot have failed along the way. Some have succeeded. And what we really want to focus on is the Git branching feature. So branching pretty much allows you to collaborate without copying the whole pretty much data. And that is what we're trying to provide to the tech teams today.
Got it. Now, you mentioned AI agents and humans working effortlessly together. So, can you describe the benefit of your product for using AI agents and having adoption company-wide?
Um, like there's a certain pain that used to be felt by engineering team, and that pain is today being accelerated or insisted upon with all of these AI tools that help you ship code faster, pretty much. And if you Google just cursor deleted my database or cursor messed up my database schema, you're gonna find thousands and thousands of people just complaining about these things. And this solely comes from LLMs. They hallucinate, right? They make a lot of mistakes. We all lived it, and we have to fix it on the spot. But when you give your agent or cursor or whatever tool that you're using access to your production database and he hallucinates, well, that can break or pretty much delete the whole database. And we've seen a lot of these scenarios. So the Git features are actually there to make sure that the agent can actually touch the database without compromising the production system, without actually affecting. So it lowers the risk of adoptions for AI. And by that, we mean the agent can touch the database by creating a branch, which is a zero copy fork. So he has a separate sandbox environment, and then he can also save his modifications. So whenever he touches the schema, he modifies the data there. There's always that history of change logs. And even better than that, and this is like the time travel feature, is like if the agent makes a mistake, you can always roll it back to a previous stage, and all of these operations take a few seconds, pretty much.
So yeah, talking about a few seconds, I think you said each agent can create a fork or a branch instantly and without any consequences. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Mhm. So the way our engine works is pretty much we are providing zero copy forks. Well, let me explain in simple way. So zero copy forks are actually initially databases. So it's a full database with compute, with RAM, with everything that it needs, with connection strings. So for everyone sitting at a high level, so like developers, agents, etc., it's as if they're connecting to a database. But behind the hood, what we're really doing is we're not per se copying the data. We're only copying the modified data. We call that copy on write mechanisms. So if you have like 100 gigabytes of data on your production system and you need to create a clone, we're not per se copying the 100 gigabytes. We're just going to copy the table that you're going to modify or certain data points that you're going to modify. And that way, the 100 gigabytes of data gets cloned in a few seconds, and we keep changing as we move forward or like we operate on the database. And then we will manage the deltas of modifications for you.
So without your system, developers will be cautious and afraid to let agents access the data, and that's going to cause a slowdown to the business, right? If they're very cautious and they're
Yeah.
not embracing AI, what's the consequences if they're not embracing AI or using it properly?
I would say like the problem is even deeper than that, because if if you actually take that risk and you actually start using AI on your production data environments, one thing could happen, and it could lead to a catastrophe. We've seen this, for example, recently on X. Someone was complaining that his agent deleted his whole production database, and if you delete the whole production database, that means that your whole product is down, the systems is down, and per se for companies with critical products where SLAs are in place and it's going to cost a lot of money to fix, right? But today, I think AI is enabling a lot of velocity, and we've seen this with a lot of companies. We use a lot of AI internally to generate a lot of code, but we are per se using appropriate systems to enable these agents to work safely on data environments. And it goes even beyond, I think, that because the way that companies are working today is slowing them down, not just like on the AI front, but even on the human front. There's a whole system that needs to be changed where instead of using localized databases and static environments, we should use dynamic and ephemeral environments, right? And a very good analogy that I like to put on this example is, like Walter, 20 years ago, or like maybe 15 years ago, we used to work on separate Excel sheets, right? So like there was a lot of back and forth. So I work on my Excel sheet on my computer, and then I send you a copy through email, you download it, you work on it, etc. And then Google Drive happened. And what happened is like people started collaborating on the same Google Sheet pretty much. And if he makes a mistake, I can roll it back and I can work on the same version. We're enabling the same experience, but for engineers and their agents to collaborate on that data without per se downloading, sending, and all of these repeatable and grunt work.
Have you been able to see a consistent percent of like time savings and human labor savings as people use your product?
Yep. Right now, so like we have a specific metric that we focus on, and obviously it scales with the volume of data because copying 1 terabyte of data will take you like 20 hours. Copying 10 gigabytes will take you like a few minutes. So there's different levels of pain as you move forward, but there's also a factor of the size of the engineering team. Working with 3 engineers, you will not feel the pain as much as you would when you're working with 50 or like 40 or maybe hundreds of engineers collaborating on the same data environments, right? Our latest customer, we've been able to save over 75 hours per month just on a small database. So now that we're scaling with them towards different and bigger scopes of work, so like we started with initially 160 gigabyte of data on one environment, and now we're scaling towards 2 terabytes of data on their production systems. But there's also a benefit of not just time saved, but there's also a cost optimization here. Because instead of having that dev database completely working there 24/7 as a static environment, today you're providing your developers ephemeral databases. So if they're not using it per se for more than 15 minutes, we're going to kill the compute, but we're going to keep the snapshot so he can always come back to the same environment. Same way as Google Sheets would work, like when you're offline, your sheet is not per se consuming any more resources, but when you open it, and that's where the serverless logics comes in handy as well.
Awesome. So who would be an ideal prospect for you guys?
Right now, we're focusing on what we call critical QA practices in SaaS. So that would mean, like SaaS companies that have a system that is so critical in terms of bugs, where a bug could cost their customers millions potentially in losses. And we focus on helping these guys ship faster with a lot of better quality because you're testing on similar data to production. So that way you identify bugs less. I would say like you identify bugs at the staging level before you push into production. And Our ICP today is basically Series B companies with 40 engineers, 30 engineers, like operating in this space. So SaaS and logistics, supply chain, healthcare, that kind of stuff. And whenever there's more AI agents involved, the more the pain is present. So the more we're excited about working with these customers.
So how easy is it for people to get started with you?
Actually, that was the whole focus or like the learning curve throughout the whole year is like how can we make this integration seamless? And today, I think we finally reached a point where it's really easy to integrate into your own infrastructure. So right now, we developed what we call a hybrid model. So like the data plane sits within the customer's infrastructure. So by definition, we don't have access to the data. Everything stays within his own infrastructure. And today we even reached a point where we have a Terraform script. So you only have to open a VM and you can get it up and running in like less than a day. And we're
Nice.
pretty excited about that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And how would you like people to engage and learn more?
Um, I'm super open to everyone reaching out directly on LinkedIn. So we have actually set up a meeting for demos directly from the website. So you can
Mhm.
book a time slot with either me or one of the go-to-market teams and directly ask for a demo. And then from there, we can help understand your pain points and help understand how we can provide value to that specific pain point as well.
Well, Casey, this has been really awesome learning about Gepard and your amazing solution. So I look forward to watching the growth and expansion and just market adoption. Seems really cool.
Thank you so much, Walter, for inviting me. This has been great. I really enjoyed the questions.
Thanks a lot. It was great having you.
Thank you so much, Walter.